Welcome to another exciting edition to Grove City Hockey Presents
Hockey in our neck of the woods, and you, sir, were a very talked about person towards the end.
I'm a fifth-year senior, kind of. Well, it's my sixth year of college. Incredible.
Hey guys, we want to say thank you to our sponsor, Cut Shield, for bringing you this episode. Make sure you check them out on the link below and use the promo code for 25% off your order. Used by all 32 NHL teams and players, Cut Shield is the premier protective player clothing designed by players for players. Their innovative cut-resistant clothing has prevented serious injury to numerous players, including over 30 NHL players. Cut Shield gives you the peace of mind to go out and play without worrying about injury. Use our promo code Grove City Hockey, all lowercase and no space, for an additional 25% off your order today. Welcome to GCH Podcast. I'm your host, Ben W. Stock, and with me is a very special guest. I've got Spencer Eldridge Jr. of the Buffalo Fusion. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, Ben. How are you, man?
Oh, man, I'm living the dream, bud. Living the dream. Or nightmare,
Sure.
depending on how you run. Yeah, or nightmare, depending on how you really want to look at it.
True.
So tell us a little bit about your T4 experience in MIHA. Let's and your start into roller hockey. Did you always play roller hockey, or did you initially start out as an ice hockey player that kind of transitioned to roller?
Actually, I kind of got into roller and didn't do ice. When I started, I had my brother, his dad, who became a very big father figure for me, kind of came into my life and introduced me into hockey. So I once he took me to my first Buffalo Sabres game. I think I was like 13, 14. I fell in love with the game, started pretty much getting into it ever since, did ball, street hockey. And then I met a couple guys one day out after going to the movies with a good friend of mine that started playing in the league back at home in Buffalo. And it kind of just went from there. So it's definitely been a very, very good, intriguing experience for me. I've met plenty of good guys. I would definitely say a big shout out to Stephen Harville. He was the one who's been running our fusion teams for the travel for MIHA, and I got introduced into it, and I've pretty much been doing it for, I want to say, the last 7-8 years. I might miscount on that.
Okay, cool. I only have stats going back to 2021 on the current platform, but
yeah, that's when Carl took over. Yeah, Mike Staples was running it at that time when I was playing.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
So
cool. So actually, interesting fun fact: I actually played with Stephen Harville.
How was playing with him? What was that like? Honestly, I'm curious.
So I was a sub for them. I had just gotten back from Africa, and they needed him and Jay Rhodey were looking for a couple of bodies to help fill out their roster. And I just was like, you know what, I can jump on real quick. And it was either right after I got back or right before I left. I can't remember. I have a photo of myself wearing playing with Rhodey and Harville. It was a lot of fun. And Jake Skippman was on the team too, I believe.
I think I knew Rhodey well because at that time Rhodey was still relevant to playing at that time.
No, but
Skip, I don't think I knew him. I don't think I knew him at that time.
Yeah, well, he definitely. It would have been 11 years ago, because I didn't get either. It was just before I left, or just. I'm pretty sure it was just before I left. But then again, I also could have been playing with the Giraffes at that time too. So it was right around that 2012, 2011, 2000. No, it's definitely 2012.
Okay, because I think the 2012, I think that was the same year when T4 was first introduced. I want to say it was somewhere around that time frame.
Well, we actually played T3 that year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? I think that might have been the year after.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I think it was like 13 or 14 when T4
When you
was
jumped
finally
in.
introduced.
Yeah,
Yes.
something like that. Yeah, that it was crazy. But no, I mean playing with those guys was nothing but love. I think I'm still friends with Rhodey, with Steve and Jake, as well as Jason Draz.
Draws,
He
yeah,
had
okay. I know Draws.
yeah,
I definitely know
he
Draws.
had an injury after like while I was away.
Mm,
While I was out of the country, and then yeah, he just I don't know if he ever came back or I know he's doing his own thing now. Um, but yeah, so
okay.
it's been a minute playing with those guys. So, but yeah, so we have that in common. As
Yes,
far
yeah.
as like teams. So, um, but yeah, so tell me your experience. You know, playing hockey and then versus. I'm sure you played other sports, right?
Like I say, I did cross country, track and field my high school days. Um, I was a very small kid. I was like 5'7", 5'6", 5'7". I was like literally like a whopping 120 pounds. So like, even if I wanted to do sports, trying to do anything strenuous or anything that required strength, did not have the size for it at all. So I kind of just running was track and field and all that, and being agile was definitely something that helped me in my high school days. So it was a fun experience. It was
Oh,
definitely a
cool.
fun experience.
And you said you did you did long distance. You decided to torture yourself for some reason.
Yeah. I listen at that point. A lot of the guys had already took a lot of the big events, so I didn't mind doing it. I was always big with stamina and wanting to work
Hmm.
on conditioning myself, even up till now, where I've always viewed conditioning your body, having stamina, being able to be physically peak during the optimal times is definitely a key thing. Even especially for a sport like hockey, whether if it's
Yeah.
ball or roller or ice, you definitely want to be physically fit whenever you need it to be. So I kind of had made that a priority once I kind of like got into hockey and was playing like full time.
Hmm.
So
Cool. So now, so that obviously you were able to utilize those training aspects from your high school days and incorporate it into your roller hockey stamina. I always say that there's a difference between, um, you know, playing shape and just going around and messing around shape. You can
mhm.
have messing around shape, but playing shape is a completely different animal because you have to go, as hard as you can for sometimes up to 2.5 to 3 minutes, depending on how you guys lay your shifts out.
Yeah,
Ideally
yeah.
you want to do a little bit smaller, but you only get that much of a if you're running 8 guys on a bench, that's your recovery time too. So a lot of guys
True.
tend to try to take a longer shift to give you guys the air back in your lungs before you guys have to go back out.
That is true. I mean, but it also depends on situational where on key things like power plays, penalty
Hmm.
kills, or situations where brawls may happen. I've seen a few of them. I've actually been in a couple of them where we've kind of had to figure out, okay, who's in the penalty box or who's on a power play. We're on a power play. Okay, who's on my bench? Who do I need out here at this point? And it's kind of figuring out your strengths, your weaknesses, and what our greatest attributes are. So I've tried to use the best guys for key situations that I know that we have a greater chance of succeeding in scoring goals and winning games.
So
So
now
I
with
deem those as
yeah.
I
So
deem
with
those
that,
as go ahead.
no, go ahead.
So like I deem a lot of situations to where like I've had guys where they were much bigger in size. I mean, like we'll just say a defenseman 220, 230. I may want to park him in front of the net. He's a big guy. He's tall, about 6 foot. I'm going to put a guy there where I know that he's going to cause a lot of havoc, or a guy that I know he might not have the best hands, but he's got legs. So I may put him on the wing, or I may put him on a PK, put him up top in case I can get the puck. We can give him, and he can just take off. So again, it's just kind of figuring out situations and kind of how to address it appropriately. So
cool. Now, with that, what's your favorite situation to be in when it comes to making those type of decisions?
Honestly, you know what? That's actually a good question. Honestly, my favorite would be is sometimes having to give not just myself but other team players on my team an opportunity, because there's times where I'm not the best person for a situation, and with being captain of my team, sometimes I might not be that best fit. Some games I might have a crappy game, and it's being able to understand and being aware of that and being okay. You know what? Some people have a role to play, because we all know there is a role to play in hockey as well too. I just might not be able to fit that. So I think my favorite thing is to being able to be understanding and giving not just myself opportunities, but players on my team a chance to be able to showcase and do things for themselves.
Nice. That's a good response.
Yeah. I've definitely done. I've had some good games. I've done some bad choices. I've done some really good choices in my time of plane travel. So it's all having those collection of memories and understanding. You kind of learn the game much easier, and you're able to dictate it, because we always say, puck control and clock manager are one of the most important things in roller hockey. And I've stressed it with guys. I've seen teams that will stack up a team down to offense to defense and a goalie, but if they can't control the puck and don't know how to control clock, they'll be barely winning games.
Or lose games, or lose those tight games when those crucial moments needed to kill that clock off. The other team will just bounce right back in.
Oh yeah, I've been on the reciprocate end of those. I forget one of the teams. I actually had ended up playing up T3 at one point. And I forget the team that we played. They were from Buffalo. I remember we were up. I think we were up like 3-0, and these guys just came back and just ended up beating us 5-3. And I was just like, what's going on here? Like, just them, playing a situation, taking it one play at a time, one goal at a time. And it was just like, oh man, I don't like that at all. and I've been on that opposite end too, where we were down a goal or two, and we had to come up with some big players, or we drew penalties and managed to come back and tie the game and end up winning the game afterwards. So it's a good humbling experience.
Yeah, it's one of those things where when you play this game for as long as we have, you are on the receiving end as well as the giving end of those type of games. And if you haven't, then you haven't been given it your best effort yet. That much I can tell you.
Oh yeah, I can definitely agree. I can definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
And like, not even just with travel, but even with home too, because I've definitely played with some very, very good players. I actually knew the Bennett brothers, Blake and Shane Bennett. I don't know if you've heard about them. I knew them when they were kids. Wow. And I loved / hated playing against them. It definitely became a rivalry where it was like they were just young, cocky kids, but were very skilled, and I enjoyed playing it so much. Like, I still speak to Shane every now and then, like when he was living in Buffalo before he moved. He would invite me to go play pickup hockey with some of his pro players. Nice. And to get an invite like that, any chance I got, it was just like I had to hop on it. It was just like, and it'd just be a weird random night. It'd be like 11:30. Like, I'm getting ready to go out, and hey, Spence, you want to come skate? I'm just like, let's go. I got to go do this. And I'm like, all right, I hit up my friends. Yeah, I'm not coming out. I'm going to go play hockey. They're like, what? Really? Like, are you serious? Hell yeah. It's not often I get to play with pro players and getting to learn things with them. So I took every opportunity out of that.
That's amazing, dude. With that said, what are some of your favorite rinks that you like to play with or play at? Throughout your career.
Well, definitely one of the favorite ones was Dumars. I wish they were still open. That was definitely one of my top ones. Definitely had a lot of good memories there. Fraser is definitely one of them. Cheektowaga we have here at home, our Cheektowaga Rec Center. That's definitely one of our really good rinks. Kind of hard for MIHA to kind of get that booked, but when they did get it booked, a lot of positive responses we got from there. One other rink I honestly would have to say was actually Fort Wayne.
Nice.
And that was when T4 was first introduced, and we ended up playing there, played there for championships, and I was just like, man, this rink is massive. I'm still wondering. I'm like, could I actually play on that again? I haven't played on there in a few years. So I don't even know if I'm ready to tackle on a big rink like that again.
Yeah. Oh no, I'll tell you, going from playing in a small rink, there's a couple of local rinks near me that are where it literally like 6-7 steps and you're from one end to the other, and then so then a lot of the guys
God.
It's crazy how small it is, but it's great for 3-on-3, that type of game, and so then when you get put on a full NHL sized rink or an Olympic sized sheet, like they have over in Georgetown. I believe that's just straight up NHL size. The vast difference, it's insane. And all of the guys that are like super quick, super good on those smaller sheets have a hard time adjusting to the bigger ice surface or the bigger floor surface.
Yeah.
Because they're so used to that smaller surface. And I have a buddy of mine, he and we go back and forth. I love the kid so much, but I also hate debating this with him because he's like, oh, roller hockey on this size rink should be 5-on-5, not 4-on-4. And I go, bro, it's a completely different game than ice hockey. So you need to lose that mentality.
It is. It really is. And again, I've played on, like I say, playing at that rink in Fort Wayne. With those size rinks, like you can play, like for example, like if you wanted to, like with 4-on-4, there's just so much more room that it's much harder to try to get around players, even if you were crafty with speed and had legs, because most players can compensate it by just, okay, I can fall back. So if I can fall back, it's like, okay, it's gonna give me time. Unless you're going in the middle or unless you're going to dive and cut from an angle, there's really not much you could really do. And goalies love that because now it's just like, okay, I have all this room. All they have to do, as long as they square the puck up, 9 times out of 10, you're making the save.
Yeah. I almost equate, trying to go from playing at in Fort Wayne and then playing at the Indianapolis rink in Ellenberger Park. That one's a little bit smaller. So I mean, you just see some of these teams that are used to those smaller surfaces. I think, I'm not sure if Palatine or Salt Creek in Chicago is just as big as the Fort Wayne sheet. But it's insane just to see, like, okay, how teams have to adjust for those bigger surfaces, like what you see at Big Boy Arena, in Fraser, and or at Taylor Sports Complex too is another decent size.
That one, Taylor is definitely a decent sized one, and I can agree. Like, I've only went to Chicago once. After that, I honestly would say most teams from here, where we usually don't go to Chicago, is the drive. And of course, more personally for me, I kind of wish a lot of the Chicago teams would come out to Buffalo and kind of, grace themselves with more competition, more love. Because again, like, I'm all for wanting to go to Chicago, but it's kind of difficult when not everyone wants to travel 8-9 hours. And again, I understand. I get that.
Yeah, and the price of a flight is just as expensive to to drive.
No,
It's
it
like,
is. It is. It is.
so
It is. And I kind of get it. I kind of wish we had a dual rink here in Buffalo because I would love to have a championship here in Buffalo because there's definitely a lot to showcase out here, especially come May because the weather is good, plenty of places to go see and do. Hell yeah, I'm all for it. Don't get me wrong, I love Frazier. I love going to Detroit. I know a good amount of friends out there. I have a blast every time I go out there, whether if it's for a tournament or for finals. I love being out there. So
cool. So now let's head back into the MIHA aspect of it. So this season, you guys have only played 4 games, right?
yes, we've only played 4 games.
Oh,
Fortunately, we're 1-3
or
right
one
now.
event, right? Yeah. Oh, really? One
Yeah,
and three? Oh man, that's not good.
yeah. It's kind of a
It's
start.
early. It's early. It's
It
an
is
early start.
early. I mean, whether if you're 1-3 or you went 4-0, it's honestly it's early. It's too easy. It's not going to be an easy tell to figure out where we are. I mean, hell, even with my team last year, I don't think no one expected us to do as well as we did.
Yeah, you
And
guys turned a lot of heads.
we know we definitely did. I'm definitely proud of my guys. I definitely was proud of him, especially Jordan Snyder, who was our goalie before he went to play with Knights. He definitely stood on his head for us for majority of those games. For the aspect of it. So I give nothing but appreciation for all of my guys that come to play, whether if they play for the team or if they come to sub out because I needed a guy or two. So it's definitely good. I'm hoping I can continue to do that and kind of get us back to being one of those top contending teams that we used to back in the day.
Right. So now, which team do you guys prefer to play against? Which team are you um, most curious to watch or to play against? Or which teams are you like? I really want to play this team, but I really want to play them in the finals when I don't have to worry about taking a loss to the record unless I absolutely have to.
Uh, um, actually, ironically, I'm going to say it'll have to be your Grove City Thunderbirds. I think I kind of like the little rivalry that we had last year, especially when we played in Buffalo. We played the playoff game, and it was the winner basically got in the playoffs. That game definitely was like I was in on that one. Like I like my mind was just like, all right, we got to win this. We have to do that. It was definitely a fun experience. So I definitely kind of see us having a nice little rivalry going between us.
Yeah, those the guys out from Grove City, Pennsylvania. Those guys are fun to watch. I didn't know too much about them until a couple years ago when they posted an ad on Facebook looking for somebody to help them out with their broadcasts. And and being a Michigan guy myself, I was like, I had been out of the game since 2015 at that point.
Okay.
So it was like, okay, you know what? 2021, it was 2021. It was time to, or no, 2022 actually. It was like, okay, it's time to get back into it. So I came in like at halfway through, or like the early part of 2022, and then now here we are, almost 2024. I think in February it'll be 2 years, and so it's like a
Okay.
season and a half. And I absolutely love watching these guys grow. And I don't know them too well, but they have been pretty welcoming, and they just you just get a chance to just shoot hockey with them, and you can just tell that they have the passion for the game, and it's great to see.
Oh no, I definitely agree. Like when we first played out there last year, Grove City was our first time, and when we played against them, it was definitely a pretty good, fought game. And then we ended up playing them for finals, and we ended up losing to them, and it was a little heartbreaker because we had that lead and we let that slip up. I think we were up by like 3-4 goals, and they came back and ended up beating us, and I was just like, ah. But it was definitely fun. Like I say, got to see them a couple times throughout the season, and for them to come to Buffalo, and I think that's definitely again a start of a very good rivalry, and I enjoy it. So
Yeah.
I actually do like watching some of the teams. I watched a little bit of their T2 team. Their T2 team is actually pretty good. I'm liking the way they play.
Those guys are so fast, and so incredibly skilled. I mean, you've got the Detroit Smoke. I just did an interview with their captain Steve Stork. And of course you have Haji on that team. You have Garrett Ross on that team. You have Schwartz on that team.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, but then the Buffalo New Era with Jess Hackett.
Man, listen,
Roy
I know
Davis.
I know most of those guys from New Era. They're definitely honestly new team. No majority of the guys. Honestly, I did not expect them to do as well as they did in the finals. I did not. Like they were actually they were impressive. I was just like, man, that's for them to kind of put a team together first year, kind of like they all know each other. They've all played with each other in different events, but like this last year, the first time for them to play like that, it was impressive to watch. I enjoyed watching them. I was definitely rooting them on.
Yeah, when we were doing our predictions, I said I had the Fresh Coast and the Sixers, and I had interviewed Roy Davis and Dad Bod Todd just a few weeks prior, and we had a great conversation. It was a great episode. If you haven't had a chance to check it out on the YouTube channel, please check it out. Give it a watch, give it a like, and they
I'll definitely have to watch it.
So much crap for you're gonna you went with those two teams. Well, we don't want to talk to you right now. And I was like, but it's not personal.
No,
like if
it wasn't.
You watched it from my angle, I don't think you would have picked yourselves either.
Honestly,
but I was glad that they banked on themselves.
Oh no, honestly, like the Fresh Coast and the A team, the A team, I was actually watching them way more. Like the way they played the game, the way they moved, it was very intuitive. They played that game. Any of their games they played, it was very fast.
Yes.
Tape to tape. I really didn't see many mistakes out of them. If anything, it was usually like a puck battle. And they were just awesome to watch. Fresh Coast too. Fresh Coast was another team. I kind of think they could have been better defensively wise, just a little bit. But honestly, they were a very strong team. I definitely could have seen them go deeper into finals last year too.
Yeah, I had so my 4 was actually the A team, the Fresh Coast, Cincy Kings at that time, or the Cincinnati Roller Ducks, and CJ CJ Grow gave me so much crap too, because he's like, oh really, we didn't even get a mention, and I'm like, I said top 2, man. Like I was just like, there's nothing personal, but because I thought they were the best team in the league, and I didn't think they were going to be able to squeak it out. I had a feeling they would probably make it to the championships, but I thought they would have had a letdown on like that Saturday, and then going into playoffs they would have came back with the vengeance. So they would have been in like the lower bracket. My initial thought, but they proved me wrong. And but yeah, like you said, that Buffalo New Era team, when they started gelling together and they put that run, I mean, the goaltender, I can't think of his name right off the top of my head right now.
I think it starts with the Y. I can't think of it either, but no, he like if you watch him when he goaltends, it's kind of weird. It looks like he's kind of off, or like he kind of doesn't set himself. But the more you watch him play, the way like his style is definitely unorthodox, and I kind of like it, which definitely has made teams, they've had difficulty trying to score on New Era. But I honestly think they could I could see them going for a repeat. I definitely do see them making playoff finals again.
Oh,
Could
yeah.
they make a repeat? I believe that they can. I believe
Yeah.
that they can. Not going to be an easy fit though, but I
No.
definitely see them doing some type of damage for sure.
Yeah, especially if because the Roller Ducks, they bring back just about everybody. Same with the Fresh Coast do have a few new additions on their team. They lost a couple of players as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, and then the Sixers, which was the formerly the A team, those
Okay.
guys are mixing it up as well. I think this year the T2 division is not going to be as um, as one sided as you saw the last couple of years. So you're going to see a lot closer battles, which is something that I really like to see, and I love to see it because it just brings that the T2 level to a whole nother level. Because again, you're seeing the pro guys from Car Shield, from want to say what's the Roadrunners. I think there was a couple guys from that. Those guys, they're splitting up, but they're bringing in other groups of guys that are just as talented as they are. And
Mm-hmm.
it's insane to watch, and it brings more credibility to that next level T2 teams that you're going to start seeing here in these later tournaments.
Oh yeah. I know they're doing. I think later in the year they're doing like one of their tournaments is just nothing but T2 teams. I think it's like
Yeah,
8, 10 of them. I'm looking for that. Might be the tournament for everyone to watch. Like if you really want to see some good action, I think everyone should tune into that tournament for sure because that's going to be
yeah.
fun.
Yeah, and I think I can't remember, but I know that Grove City will be broadcasting that event live. So tune into the YouTube channel for that,
Oh
or
no, I
watch out for
definitely,
that.
I definitely will. I definitely will. I don't care if I'm
Because
at work or not. That T,
yeah,
listen, anytime I get a chance to see some T2 action, I definitely try to take heed to watching it because it's definitely fun. Um, Definitely good to take some notes and kind of seeing how they play it because it's definitely good, especially like if players that go from T3 to T2, and eventually a lot of those guys may want to go play during the summer and go play for tours or NARCH or
yep,
nationals. I'm telling you, it's a very good way to get a foot in the door.
yep.
So watching them is definitely going to be key for a lot of youngins.
Cool, cool. So now you guys have a couple of tournaments left. You still have 3 events left. Do you know off the top of your head which 3 those are going to be?
Actually, I do. We actually our next tournament isn't till March. We'll be
Okay,
back in Grove City, so
nice.
I'm hoping to. I'm pretty sure we'll end up playing Thunderbirds. I wouldn't mind them being our first game. No lie, I would not mind. And then we go to Taylor the end of March, and then we have our home tournament in April in Buffalo.
Cool, cool. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the GCH podcast with your host, Ben W. Stock, when my very special guest, Spencer Eldridge Jr. I can't wait to see how the Buffalo Fusion, come out ahead in toward the latter half of the season. So, man, thanks for taking the time to join us on the pod tonight, bud.
No problem, man. I appreciate it, man. I think this was definitely fun. I wouldn't mind doing this again.
Oh, for sure. I'll definitely reach out and we'll get you back on to talk about predictions, see how the seasons start turning around for you guys, or how it's ending up for you guys. If it's where you guys are expecting, or if you guys were hoping for a different outcome. It's one of those things where we'll always circle back.
No, definitely, definitely. I'll be making sure I'll be taking my notes because there'll be a lot of talk and predictions for all 3 divisions. So it'll be a fun talk.
All right, brother. Well, I appreciate it, and that's gonna do it for this episode. We'll catch you guys on the flip side.
All right, take care.